Well, there you have it. Coventry City 1, Norwich City 1. My goodness. Norwich was so close to taking all 3 points back to Norfolk. That feels quite unlucky in the context of the game. Obviously, a 97th minute equaliser is never going to be an easy one to digest. But I want to try and be positive. I want to try and take the good things from a game where, let's face it, Norwich City got absolutely peppered for 95% of it. That is a kind of performance from Norwich that I feel like I've not seen, in terms of one where we actually get a point from it. I've not seen Norwich dig as deep. You've seen Portsmouth and Blackburn, those performances away from home so far this season. I don't think I've seen Norwich dig as deep as that before and come away from something, as we said, almost all 3 points. And in my head, I was preparing for this by really just being ready to sing Harry Darling's praises for Norwich specifically, because what a game he had. It is such a shame that it had to be him who gave that ball away at the end to cost Norwich the 3 points effectively. But I won't let that tarnish his performance, because, I mean, that is by far one of the best performances from a Norwich City centre-back that I've seen for quite some time. And him and Medic, I thought, were formidable today. And Norwich's resilience to being really peppered by a Coventry side who have been scoring goals for fun so far this season was really impressive. And it was reassuring in the sense of Norwich City actually can stand up to the challenge. There are some not so nice things to take from that game, in the sense of Norwich on the ball today. There were a couple of decent passages, but on the ball didn't really look like they could handle Coventry. But Coventry this season, as I think many probably thought would be the case, I think will massively kick on and will be in that top six, potentially even challenge for a place a little bit further on than that. But let's not get carried away. Let's look back at that Norwich City performance. It's hard to not be really disappointed, and I'm trying to, in my head, replay all of those Coventry chances, because there were so many, and very early on the game, in my mind, I was just thinking, can we stop some crosses from going into the box? And I think that's one thing that Liam Manning will take away from the game, and I really hope that the fullbacks will learn from. Kellen Fisher on the right-hand side really wasn't helped by Sienats. Sienats today frustrated the hell out of me, especially towards the end. I just really don't think he had his finest game, but I don't really want to pick on him too much. But Fisher and Crescenti weren't the best at stopping the crosses, but equally from those crosses, and I know one in-swinger ended up with Coventry hitting the post, but they didn't do too much with it. What minute was it when I think by 65 minutes in, Coventry had over 20 shots, and I was already, in my head, I definitely am, and I'll be watching it after recording this, but I'm ready for the Frank Lampard. We had all this possession, we had all these shots, but they really weren't effective with them. I thought Norwich really stood up to the task. A lot of them were, some of them were glancing headers that went nowhere, and Vladan Kovacevic was incredible. Kovacevic, sorry. He was phenomenal again, and in a game like today, you've got to pick out the qualities from the back. And as we said, Darling and Medic, formidable. Kovacevic away from home again, absolutely fantastic. In the podcast that me and Adam filmed quite recently, we had sort of wondered whether he was an upgrade from Gunn, and Adam said he was. And I mean, based off today, again, that really supports that argument. He, the speed to which he comes off his line from set pieces now is really impressive. And there were a couple of moments at the end where he put his head on the ball, and I just thought he was brilliant. Like, when you see the ball about to drop on his head, you think, God, what is about to happen here? But both times, absolutely phenomenal. Made some really good saves, led the team well from the back. And yeah, again, it's such a fresh pain of not getting all 3 points. Josh Sargent. Got to mention Josh Sargent purely off the fact that he won Player of the Month, and there is that curse, isn't there, of if you win Player of the Month or Manager of the Month, you tend to follow up with an absolute stinker, and Rob Edwards almost did that today for Middlesbrough. And not that Sargent had a stinker today, but he didn't really have too much to do, because Norwich City were very much under the cosh for the entirety of the game. Over 65% possession for Coventry by the end. And yeah, I think going, do you know what, believe it or not, I can't believe it, I've not actually mentioned Viscaren's finish, which phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. That there is the kind of finish that when you look at those compilations of players when they signed for Norwich, that was the trademark, just sort of finding that bit of space and finishing a cross goal. And yeah, it's really pleasing that he's managed to open his account for Norwich. Hopefully it helps boost that confidence. If he can get one at home as well, that would be amazing. And when Josh Sargent isn't firing, he is the man that we're going to be looking at for goals. So prolific for Bromley last season. So the fact that he's managed to get that goal, and again, no, I think Norwich were unlucky to just not pick up all 3 points. But yeah, Fiskaren was really good today, and it's good to have that. I don't want to call him a plan B because I think that sort of tarnishes what he is and his role at Norwich, but it's good to have that secondary option to Sargent, who has been and will continue to be, providing he stays injury-free, prolific for Norwich. I think in the middle today, Topic struggled a little bit in the first half, but in the second found his way a little bit more. McLean again was okay. That's, in terms of that pairing today, that's about as kind as I can be. I think they were part of that collective effort to stand up to the challenge, but also I think they were fairly passive at times, and it's difficult in my head because I want to, and I am impressed with Norwich and the way they stood up to the challenge, and I don't want to make them sound as if, like, getting a point against Coventry, who I already said have been really impressive this season. I don't want to make that sound like a bad thing. And I mean, Coventry, for a second, just to speak about them, I thought they were really, really good on the ball, and they created space really well, especially in that first 25 minutes. The way they stretched the pitch was, I mean, as a Norwich fan, it was terrifying to watch. And Norwich did a good job at sort of stifling their attacking options in the bunch. Like Haji Wright, for example, I think, he picked up that yellow card at the end for diving when he didn't need to. Haji Wright was I don't want to use the word stifled again, I might have to, was stopped really by the middle two, and I think that's what kind of prevented them, obviously, from scoring, despite the fact they had a lot of chances and they had a lot of possession. They moved the ball really quickly. The way Coventry played in the first half, but also for the majority of the game, is probably how you would describe an ideal home performance, where it's almost just relentless pressing and it's relentless chances, relentless crosses. But it just wasn't to be for them today. I'm fully expecting to post this video and then to go and sit down and look at Frank Lampard being really upset and angry at the fact they haven't won that game, which, again, if I had a sky blue shirt on, maybe I would be, but I'm looking at it through yellow goggles. Just to summarise, really just gutted that Norwich haven't managed to get all 3 points there. But looking forward, and me and Adam will talk about the game during the week, but looking forward, Norwich City now need to, and I don't think they need to go and blow Wrexham out of the water, but to build off of that performance and the one before the international break, where clearly they have some resilience to them and their defenders can defend. They need to go and beat a team, but not just the scoreline. They need to put a team to the sword, and we need to be leaving Carrow Road or wherever it may be thinking, yeah, we deserve to win that, rather than how impressive was the defence, or how good was that individual moment from Sargent or whatever. And based off of today, I've got a little bit of faith that could happen. Liam Manning will take whatever lessons Liam Manning takes from it. But yeah, a bittersweet feeling, a very overwhelming feeling of, being proud at watching Norwich stand up to being battered at times by one of the better teams, or one of the best teams in the league so far this season. But also in my head, just cautious about, what it could look like going forward. But we will see. As I said, myself and Adam will discuss the game during the week on a podcast, so please feel free to join us for that. Thank you for everyone who's subscribed so far to the channel. And, those who are watching the first couple of videos that we've put up, it means a lot. Me and Adam really enjoy doing this. If you want to subscribe, please do. Thumbs up as well if you're feeling generous. And I'll see you in the next one.